"Selina, don't follow me, please." In the rear-view mirror, a black SUV tailing her. Suddenly, her car breaks down under a bridge. The SUV stops far behind. Two shadowy men get out. She runs. A hand grabs her from behind, but it's not the man. It's him, a disheveled man with kind eyes, wrapped in a tattered coat. "Joshua. Joshua, keep quiet. This way." The wind howled outside, but inside the dim bookstore, Selina sat wrapped in a dry blanket, still shivering not from the cold, but from the memory of headlights in her rearview mirror and the faceless men who had nearly caught her. Joshua, seated across from her, poured tea from a chipped kettle. His movements were calm, deliberate, a stark contrast to his ragged coat and dirt-smudged hands. He moved like a man who once held power, a man used to silence, stillness, and control. "You have sugar?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He chuckled softly. "You think I'd survive on the streets without knowing how to sweeten bad tea?" She allowed herself a small smile, then quickly pulled it back. She studied him more closely now. His beard was rough, but his eyes were clear, too clear. The kind of clarity that came from discipline, not desperation. And the way he watched her, it wasn't leering or needy. It was strategic, calculated. "Why would you help me?" she asked finally. Joshua leaned back, sipping his tea. A beat of silence. Then a soft smile curved his lips. "Because I still remember who I am." She frowned, eyes drifting downward. That's when she saw it barely visible beneath his sleeve, a faded military eagle tattoo, the kind worn by elite intelligence officers. Her heart skipped. "You were—" she began. "I was," he said, cutting gently. "Now I'm no one. And no one is the safest person to trust when everyone else is watching you." Selina's throat tightened. She looked away, blinking hard. "My father trusted them," she said, the words tumbling out. "He left me everything. The company. His legacy. I thought they were helping me until the signatures started changing, until the bank called me about an offshore account I never opened." She inhaled, clutching the blanket tighter. Then the threat started, disguised as business offers. And tonight, they tried to make it look like a carjacking. Joshua didn't flinch. "They don't want you silenced. They want you erased." Her eyes locked on his. "How do you know that?" "Because I used to be them," he said. "Until I refused to pull the trigger on someone innocent. That's when I became the ghost." A beat of silence settled. The candles hissed faintly. Outside, rain softened. "Why here?" she asked. "Why live in a bookstore?" Joshua's gaze swept the room-worn pages, collapsed shelves, memories long abandoned. "Because stories don't lie to you. And because hiding in plain sight is better than running." Selina looked around for the first time, not with fear, but with curiosity. This place, this man, didn't feel like a coincidence. It felt like fate preparing her for a war she hadn't trained for, and sending her the one soldier who had nothing left to lose. And in the soft glow of the candles, amid old stories and new fears, the lines between rescuer and fugitive blurred. Two broken lives now caught in the same page-turning moment, one that neither of them could walk away from unchanged. She sat up quickly. The reality crashed back. She was still in danger. The calm of the night hadn't changed anything. She tiptoed to the door, cracking it open just enough to peek outside. Two men, still watching. They weren't pretending to be joggers anymore. They stood leaning against a van with tinted windows, pretending to fix a tire. Selina's breath caught. Her fingers shook. Behind her, Joshua's voice came low and steady. "They've narrowed the perimeter." She turned, startled. He was already dressed, already watching. It was like he never slept. "I can't stay here," she said. He walked over, set a folded map on the table. "Then we don't stay. But we don't run loud." She frowned. "What does that mean?" He smiled faintly. "It means I teach you how to disappear without vanishing." What followed wasn't what she expected. There were no disguises, no dramatic rooftop escapes. Instead, Joshua showed her the subtle tricks, changing posture, wearing a reflective vest to look like a city worker, keeping her face behind a balloon seller at a market stall. They weaved through the city like they were made of air, always a few steps ahead of eyes that never stopped scanning. They returned to the bookstore hours later. She collapsed onto a beanbag chair near the poetry section. "Are you some kind of street magician?" she asked between breaths. He shook his head. "Just a man who's had a long time to study people who want him dead." That night, the tension began to shift. Not just fear anymore. Curiosity. Pull. Selina wandered into the back room and found him surrounded by old things, faded maps, records, a cracked music box he was fixing with surgeon-like focus. He didn't notice her right away. Or maybe he did. Beside him lay a book of poetry, French verses, marked with ink and sketches. She stepped closer, reading one line aloud. "It dawns with silence, Jamie sways retrieve." And in the silence, I found myself again. He glanced up, not startled, just quiet. "You used to be someone, didn't you?" He turned the gear of the music box. Slowly. "I still am," he said, barely above a whisper. "Just not to the world." Something inside her softened or maybe cracked. She sat beside him on the floor. The music box whirred to life, playing a tune so hauntingly delicate it pulled a tear from her eye before she could stop it. She asked no more questions, because in that moment, she understood. Whatever had happened to this man, whatever he had run from, it had taken everything except his soul. And somehow, in the middle of a city that had turned against her, that soul made her feel safe. Too safe. Dangerously safe. She looked at him now not as a stranger or a savior, but as a riddle written in the ruins of something great. And somewhere deep inside her, she wanted to be the one who solved it. A black glove hand flipped through a digital folder labeled Selina Rukundo Terminate. In a sleek, glass-walled office far above the city, Clive Mabuz's expression remained calm as a man beneath him recited the logistics. "She's still alive. The men lost her after the bridge incident. But we know she's in the city." Clive didn't flinch. He stirred his espresso, watching the skyline. "Then expand the net. She won't last long. I want those shares. I want the board quiet. And I want the last person who knew her father gone. Understand?" The man nodded and vanished into the shadows. Back in the forgotten spine of the city, Joshua walked with Selina through a crumbling warehouse district, guiding her past broken fences and sleeping dogs. But his eyes weren't scanning like before. They were focused, directed. "We need a vantage," he said. They entered a rusted building that looked condemned. Joshua pulled a panel off a steel column to reveal something Selina didn't expect. A concealed transmitter box, jury-rigged with military-grade tech, blinking faint green. "What is that?" Joshua didn't answer right away. His fingers flew over buttons, rerouting frequencies, scanning encrypted comms. Then he pulled out a small device from his coat, something that looked like it belonged in a war zone. Selina watched in awe, a chill crawling over her skin. "You're intercepting signals from them." He nodded. "They are triangulating your position using drone towers. But I just rerouted their search zone to the eastern sector. We have 3 hours." She stared at him, stunned. "You're not just a soldier. You're trained in cyber warfare." He finally turned to face her, but there was no pride in his eyes, just weariness. "I was built to take down governments, until mine turned on me." She couldn't look away now. He wasn't just helping her, he was navigating a war that had once been his entire life. That night, the air in the bookstore was different. He sat alone, quietly tuning an old radio while the city breathed outside. Then, softly, he began to hum. The tune slipped from his throat with a kind of ache Selina had never heard before. She froze in the doorway, listening. It was a lullaby one her father used to hum in his last days. A melody from the elite unit he once funded, hidden in the hills of the north. A tune that only those men ever knew. Her voice cracked. "You're not a beggar." Joshua didn't stop singing. "You're a ghost," she whispered. He looked up, his face half lit by candlelight. His expression didn't deny it. "A dead man," he said, with a bitter softness, "who came back for justice." Selina's chest tightened. The man in front of her was no longer just her rescuer. He was a weapon sharp, buried, and now reawakened. And as a candle flickered between them, casting shadows of war and truth across the walls, she realized something terrifying. If Clive didn't kill her first, this man just might die trying to protect her. and she didn't know yet which scared her more, the danger that chased her or the fire that had begun to burn between them. Selina wraps her coat tighter as a cold wind creeps through the broken bookstore window. Joshua sits across from her, sharpening a piece of metal into a makeshift lockpick. The silence is charged not with fear, but with fragile trust. Selina finally whispers, "Why didn't you leave when they turned on you?" Joshua doesn't look up, because I believed Rwanda still needed protecting, even when it forgot me. She watches him, his face hardened by years of exile, but his eyes still gentle. "Captain Joshua Nshimiyimana," she says softly, testing the name. "You were a ghost story at my father's dinners." He chuckles bitterly. "Then I've served my purpose." Selina leans forward. "My father trusted Clive. So did I, until I saw the contracts. He wants me erased." Joshua finally meets her gaze. "Then let's erase him first." Later, she finds herself watching him in the candlelight, how he treats a bruised pigeon with the same care as he treated her. She's drawn to his pain, his fire, his silence. That night, they sit back to back by the fireplace. Selina breaks the stillness. "I spent my whole life climbing someone else's ladder." Joshua, "And now?" "Selina, now I want to bone it." He looks over his shoulder, the flicker of something more than a lines between them. In the morning, Selina receives a message. Clive has taken over the board. Her home is ransacked. Her best friend vanished. Her life is officially gone. Joshua stares at the photo of Clive on her phone. Time to meet an old enemy. Rain falls like a curtain as Selina and Joshua step out of the black car. She's radiant in a crimson suit, heels clicking with resolve. Joshua, now clean-shaven and unrecognizable in a tailored tux, walks behind her like a shadow one last mission. Inside the boardroom, Clive leans back smugly. "You finally realize you can't win without me." Selina sets a briefcase on the glass table. "I realize I don't have to win the old way." She slides her resignation letter across the table. Clive barely notices the tiny blinking light inside the folder. 2 floors below, Joshua is inside the server room, fingers dancing across a stolen military tablet. Code floods the screen. He taps into the company's security feed and activates Project Truth. Suddenly, every screen in the building flickers. Employees freeze as Clive's voice fills the hallway, secret recordings of embezzlement, backroom deals, and a chilling order. Eliminate her, she resists. In the boardroom, Clive lunges for Selina, but the doors fly open, SWAT officers storm in. Guns raised. Clive Mudraneza, you're under arrest for conspiracy, attempted murder, and corporate treason. Selina watches in silence as Clive is handcuffed, his face drained of color. She finally exhales, but when she turns to find Joshua is gone. Hours later, her victory speech is interrupted by a small envelope slipped under her office door. Inside, a single dog tag and a message written in familiar, neat handwriting. "You were the only mission worth finishing. J.N." She presses the tag to her chest, heart heavy with triumph and loss. In a quiet corner of the city, a figure boards a bus with no destination. Joshua stares out the window, vanishing into the fog, his war finally over. The city has changed, less steel, more soul. Selina walks through the gates of the newly rebuilt headquarters, now renamed the Nshimiyimana Foundation. Children run freely in the courtyard. Widows work with dignity. Hope has a home again. A banner flutters in the breeze, opening day from power to purpose. Cameras flash. Donors applaud. But Selina only sees one empty seat in the front row. She steps to the podium, hand steady, heart full. "I once believed power was everything, until I met someone who gave it all up for what was right. A man who lived invisible, but never stopped fighting. I owe my freedom, my future, and my fire to him." She pulls the cloth off a bronze plaque. "In honor of Captain Joshua, the man who never stopped serving." Gasps ripple through the crowd, and then movement. In the back row, a man stands. No tux, no uniform. Just clean clothes, peaceful eyes, and the faintest smile. Selina freezes, breath caught. Their eyes lock. She walks slowly through the crowd, parting it like memory. "Ready for a second chance?" she asks, voice barely above a whisper. Joshua nods. "Only if it's with you." No one claps. No one blinks. The world just pauses, caught between past scars and future promise. Then Selina grabs his hand, and this time he doesn't let go.